Do we know if Masayoshi Son has ever committed sins? Like, that would seem to narrow it down.
I mean, I wonder, though, if he's ever committed the sin of pride, because he seems to be sort of realizing that his life has been about nothing. I mean, it depends what religious tradition you really want to view him through, right? Like,
Masayoshi Son exists more as a metaphor than as an actual guy. He contains a spiritual truth.
Masayoshi Son was a very good man, but was he God?
Just sort of Church of England vicering Masayoshi Son and be like, well, you know, a lot of people choose to interpret him as more of a sort of a metaphor.
Yeah. Look, I believe that Masayoshi Son sort of set processes into motion. Again, I guess the closest thing would actually be the like deist conception of God. Masayoshi Son set a number of processes into motion that by their own logic then culminated in the creation of another god, basically.
Nice of him to do that, you know?
Yeah, it was super cool of Masayoshi Son to create God. So I meant that to be just like a quick moment, but I love
to do
talking
a quick
about
moment about a guy who says he's going to create God.
But who's crying because he hasn't yet. It's like, but when I realized AI was out there, my greatest personal failure was that I have not created God yet. By the way, of course, it's because he saw, we all remember, right? What he does every day is he stays up for 24 hours sitting beside ChatGPT, typing into it business idea, and then calling his like subordinates being like, we should invest in something that's like a hoverboard for moms. And they're like, okay, all right. Thank you. We're going to go try that. Yeah, can you do Uber for it? Yeah, I guess so, maybe.
I have seen enough anime about people who try to become gods or to try and outsmart God to know that this is not going to end well for him. So what I will say to Masayoshi Son is that if you see a Shinigami, like just when you're out, don't trust it. It's not going to end well for you. This isn't going to end the way that you think it's going to end. It's going to be very long and tedious. And at some points you'll be wondering, why am I doing this? Where did this go? This was good and now it kind of sucks. But it's not going to end the way that you think it's going to end.
Masayoshi Son, you are not alone.
The thing about creating God is that it can be kind of a boring experience as well. And the strikes me to him is that like he strikes me as someone who like doesn't have both the willpower or the attention span to really like be devoted to it.
Oh, he's going to get distracted by the next tech hype cycle, which is sad because I'd like him to actually follow this one through.
Yeah, and this is like my issue with the AI guys, which is that like they're not weird enough. You know?
Yeah, they keep saying that they're going to invent like a new caste of like AI priesthood. None of them have robes. Like they haven't thought that
none
far
of them
ahead.
none of them want to invest in actually building a cult. Because they're too busy trying to build hoverboards for moms. And like,
or it's if they do build a cult, the cult is like kind of low commitment and sort of very Reddit.
The Greys in San Francisco, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like kind of the closest,
Or like effective altruists, I guess.
Oh, you have to put a little like EAC in your Twitter handle. Fucking come on, man. This is the same level of commitment that you used to have to like a Counter-Strike clan.
That's like what it all comes back to. It's like you're only pretending to want to create God. You know, come back to me when you've got a compound and you've written some like esoterra, right? I'm not interested in it till then. All right, so let's go back to the like. Look, that's actually the Masayoshi Son write-in manifesto. All it says is, "We will find and build God. God as myself as my witness. I will climb the I will climb the great tree of being, like an Evangelion. I will find the lance of Longinus, and I will bring about human instrumentality through chatbots."
This is
Masayoshi Son.
This is not the weirdest manifesto currently running.
So let's talk a little bit about the UK pre-election final, and I think if the polls are to be believed, then it looks like the bookies' odds on the funniest possible thing happening, which is a Starmer-Trump press conference, have just become much, much shorter.
It's true. I mean, it's going to happen. And I dread to think what nickname Trump is going to give Starmer. Just like
Queer Starmer. I'm putting my money on Queer Starmer. I think it's going to be very funny.
Just comes out there and like calls him the F slur.
Hey, I think I've
as
got
a country, we just get like homophobically bullied by the president. They actually call it the Gay United Kingdom, and we're just like, I don't know what we can do about this practically.
Or it'll be like him just comparing Keir Starmer to Boris, right? Because he liked Boris, didn't he? So it's just like, you know, he'll just sort of say stuff that'll, I mean, it will just effectively be Trump like directly bullying Keir and Keir Starmer like sort of saying platitudes about the special relationship or whatever because he wants to be the Blair figure in all of this.
I like the idea of like, he's a knight. He says he's a knight, but doesn't look like a knight. Where's your armor? Where's your armor, Keir boy? Where's your armor, little Lego man? he loves me. He loves Donald.
But the thing is, standing next to Trump does make Starmer look serious by comparison. And he's already said, like, today that, he would work with the French far right if they get elected. And probably more likely to be when they get elected. Because that's what serious government is about. So, like, it's standing next to a bunch of, like, right-wing buffoons at G7 as a slightly less right-wing buffoon is going to be, like, a very, like, edifying thing for him, I suspect.
If I were Trump, I would have read everything out to Keir Starmer that Starmer has ever said about. Like, Starmer's already having to walk back shit that like David Lammy said 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Correctly identifying Donald Trump as like, yeah, this guy's a fucking fascist, essentially. Like that. And Starmer's having, I don't agree. I will work with anybody who comes to my door.
No principles.
If you want, these are my principles, and if you don't like them, I have others. But also the other thing I'm enjoying as well is we have in this election campaign reached peak Russia. Putin wants everybody to win. He is so happy.
He just hopes like both teams have fun. He's out there for the love of the game. He's out there to see some good, clean, honest politicking, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I thought I was being transported back in time when I saw that Oliver Dowden was like, oh, well, there are 5 Russian-owned Facebook groups that are encouraging people to vote for reform. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't doubt it. But hey, how come they're beating you?
Yeah, maybe it has something more to do with the fact that Nigel Farage was on Question Time every week for the last 15 years, you know? Oh, this guy was funny. Let's get him on to present Have I Got News for You, the kiss of death.
Yeah. Every politician who's been invited on to present Have I Got News for You as a joke because they're so ridiculous eventually becomes prime minister.
It's genuinely like 100% chance of becoming like prime minister and like quite a Hitlerite prime minister, you know?
Oh yeah, Have I Got News for You can only create
They can only create Hitlers. They have the Hitler synthesis device in that chair.
They have a special dark matter technology that can just sort of take in sort of different kinds of atoms from around the Question Time studio and recombine them, but only into Hitlers. That's it. But also, right, the other, like this is, the Tories are also having to attack like Labour at the same time and have said that the line now seems to be what they've settled on. And again, this is interesting because we're getting to see what the opposition to Ba'ath Party Labour is going to be for the next 5 years, which is essentially, you know, from reform being like,
why aren't you starting the killing? Why haven't you started the killing yet? When do we get to start the killing?
Reform, basically, if the Labour Party has taken over the Conservative position, the Conservatives are left positionless and reform is now their critic to the right. Essentially, right? The Tories are left positionless, struggling. It's going to be a kind of, I don't know, a kind of tournament of the gnats to see who's going to take over like the rump party, presumably. I mean, I think Badenoch and Braverman have already launched campaign websites to like enjoy their like Les Républicains after Sarkozy popularity. But this is the attack from Cleverly against Labour, which is they are determined to have a permanent Labour government, and they are quite willing to distort the British political system to get that. Again, would hate to see that happen.
Yeah, it's so revealing to be like,
you
will never get another Tory government if you don't like let us stay in now. It's like shit, maybe
that you love.
Yeah.